During World War II, money suddenly lost its value, and normal stores couldn't supply even basic necessities. In this chaos, a new underground economy took over, where items like soap, coffee, and chocolate became highly valuable. But one item became the ultimate currency: the cigarette. Simple, everyday, and surprisingly powerful, cigarettes ruled the trade in a world turned upside down. World War II unleashed an unprecedented level of destruction across Europe and Asia. Cities lay in ruins, industrial infrastructure was decimated, and communication networks were severed. This widespread devastation had a profound impact on national economies, leading to severe shortages of food, fuel, and raw materials. Governments, burdened by immense war debts and depleted gold reserves, often resorted to printing more money, which triggered rampant inflation and severely devalued official currencies like the German Reichsmark and the French franc. The Reichsmark, for example, became effectively worthless, with farmers refusing to accept it as payment for their produce. This economic collapse meant that traditional monetary systems failed to function, leaving millions of people struggling to acquire even the most basic necessities. Rationing systems were implemented in many countries, including the United States and Britain, to control the distribution of essential goods and manage inflation. However, these official channels were often insufficient, especially in war-torn regions, and could not meet the overwhelming demand. In post-war Germany, for instance, the regular food ration was grimly known as the death ration because it provided too few calories for survival, particularly for the elderly and children. This created a fertile ground for informal economies and black markets, which became an essential means of survival for many. As official economies crumbled, people naturally turned to direct exchange, or barter, to obtain what they needed. This was not a sophisticated system. It was born of desperation. In many instances, city dwellers would journey into the countryside, bringing family heirlooms, fur coats, or household items like books, lamps, and appliances to trade directly with farmers for food like potatoes, eggs, and butter. Within prisoner of war, POW camps, where official supplies were scarce and often delayed, a similar informal trading system quickly developed. Prisoners, receiving varying allocations of Red Cross parcels, would trade items they did not need, like chocolate or jam, for items they preferred. Barter, while a vital stopgap, had its limitations. It required a double coincidence of wants. Both parties had to desire what the other had to offer, which could be time-consuming and inefficient. Imagine trying to find a shoemaker who specifically wanted jute in exchange for shoes, or agreeing on the exact value of a cow compared to several quintals of wheat. This inherent inefficiency of pure barter created a strong incentive for a universally accepted medium of exchange to emerge. Amidst the chaos, cigarettes began to stand out as a superior alternative to cumbersome barter. They possessed several key characteristics that made them an ideal commodity money. Firstly, cigarettes were widely desired, not just by smokers, but also by non-smokers who knew they could easily trade them. American-made cigarettes, such as Lucky Strikes, were particularly prized. Secondly, they were relatively uniform in quality, especially American brands, which made them a standardized unit for valuing other goods. Thirdly, cigarettes were durable, portable, and easily divisible into individual units, allowing for transactions of varying sizes. This divisibility was crucial. One could pay with a single cigarette, a pack, or a whole carton, depending on the value of the item being acquired. The supply of cigarettes, especially in POW camps, was also somewhat consistent due to Red Cross parcels and military rations, which allowed them to function reliably as a medium of exchange. In post-war Germany, American GIs also played a significant role in supplying cigarettes to the black market, purchasing them cheaply from PX stores and selling them for substantial profits in occupation marks or for other desirable goods. As cigarettes gained widespread acceptance, they transitioned from a mere commodity to a full-fledged currency. In POW camps, for example, economists observed the emergence of a spontaneous order of exchange, where prices for nearly everything, from food rations to services, were quoted exclusively in cigarettes. Barracks sometimes even had information boards displaying current exchange rates. This system demonstrated the fundamental principles of money in a miniature controlled environment. Beyond the camps, in cities like Berlin, the cigarette became the unofficial currency, or Zigarettenwährung, cigarette currency, preferred over the nearly worthless official money. Black markets flourished in places like Tiergarten and Alexanderplatz, where cigarettes were the commodity of choice. The value of a single American cigarette could fluctuate significantly, ranging from 6 to 20 Reichsmarks, or even equivalent to $1.50 to $2 at the official exchange rate in 1945. A pack of American cigarettes could command prices as high as 300 marks, or $30, on the black market. Some reports even suggested a pack of Chesterfields could fetch $75 to $90. This cigarette standard even led to complex economic behaviors. Non-smoking prisoners or civilians would accept cigarettes as payment because they knew others would want them, illustrating their universal acceptability. There were even cigarette banks, where non-smokers could deposit their cigarette rations and earn interest, and rudimentary loan sharks emerged. The economy even experienced phenomena like inflation and deflation based on the supply of cigarettes. For instance, a sudden influx of Red Cross cigarette parcels into a POW camp could cause inflation, driving up prices in cigarette terms. Gresham's law, which states that bad money drives out good, was also observed with less desirable cigarette brands or hand-rolled cigarettes being used for trade, while premium brands were often kept for smoking. The black market itself was a vast and complex network that operated throughout wartime and into the immediate post-war years. It was fueled by shortages, rationing, and the desperation for basic goods. In France, for example, the black market was seen as an essential means for survival, and even an act of popular resistance to state tyranny. It involved diverse participants, from smugglers and organized crime to corrupt officials and ordinary citizens. While cigarettes became the most notable currency, other goods like coffee, chocolate, liquor, and even vital items like gasoline, soap, and medicines were frequently traded. Farmers often diverted produce from official channels to the black market where they could receive better prices or more valuable goods for their labor. In some areas, up to 50% of trading in certain goods, and even 1/3 to 1/2 of all business transactions occurred in these illegal exchanges. The risks were substantial. Governments imposed severe penalties, including hefty fines and prison sentences for those caught participating. Despite the dangers, the black market was a persistent and often professionalized activity, thriving on the inability of official systems to meet demand and, in some cases, on the corruption of authorities. The reign of the cigarette as currency, though powerful and pervasive, was ultimately temporary. Its decline coincided with the gradual recovery of official economies and the reintroduction of stable currencies. In Germany, the monetary reform of June 1948, which replaced the old Reichsmark with the new Deutsche Mark, largely brought an end to the widespread use of cigarettes as money. This reform, combined with aid programs like the Marshall Plan, helped stabilize European economies, reduce inflation, and restore faith in official monetary systems. As national currencies regained their value and supply chains improved, the need for an alternative like cigarettes diminished. The black markets didn't disappear entirely, but their role in daily transactions significantly receded. The era of cigarettes as money stands as a stark reminder of how economic principles assert themselves even in the most extreme circumstances, forcing societies to improvise and adapt when traditional systems fail. The black market economies of World War II, particularly the fascinating emergence of cigarettes as a de facto currency, offer a powerful lesson in economic resilience and human ingenuity. When official currencies collapsed under the weight of war and destruction, people turned to what was readily available, widely desired, and practically divisible. Cigarettes, humble as they were, fulfilled these roles, acting as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. Their story highlights how fundamental economic needs can drive the spontaneous creation of alternative systems, demonstrating that even in the absence of government decree, a form of money will emerge where there is a clear need for efficient trade. If you found this economic deep dive into wartime black markets insightful, remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more explorations into hidden histories and economic phenomena, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What other unusual forms of currency or informal economies interest you? We love hearing from our community.